All right, welcome back to It's Time Picks. We have an exciting fight card on deck to Saturday. We got Moreno and Brandon Royval rematching for the main event, and we have Yair Rodriguez and Brian Ortega rematching for the co-main event. Both of them should be very exciting fights. I am definitely looking forward to both of them. They are both 5 rounds, which is always exciting. I'm not sure one of those makes it 5 rounds, but you never know. Joey, what do you think about the card?
Viva la Mexico. That's how I feel about the card.
Yes.
I think it's gonna be an exciting night of fights, and I think there's gonna be a good amount of finishes in this fight since in Viva la Mexico they have the high altitude, and a lot of fighters want to see if they can get used to it with their cardio. So I'm intrigued with that. So I'm expecting a lot of action on this card.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Jumping right into it here, the very first fight, we have Muhammad Naimov versus Eric Silva. And as always, we will kick it over to you to start.
So one thing I can say is, besides his first fight, I've been on Nemo for the most. Um, you know, I think the UFC really believes in him now after he shined, UFC short notice against Malarkey, knocked him out, probably one of the biggest dogs on that card. Came in, I think he was a dog against Nathaniel Wood. Came in, me and you both were on name off, I believe. I know I was. Um, Came in, showed in why he's another dog. What was that eye look about?
Oh, nothing.
Like, I thought you're like, but I think Nemov's gonna have his way with Silva. He's an older prospect. I thought I had some decent reviews. I'm like, okay, if he can beat TJ Brown, we can maybe see where he's at. TJ Brown finished him and made it look absolute simple, easy, with no problem. I think Nemov's gonna do it as well. I think he's gonna make it look easy. I think within the first 2 rounds, he'll have Silva out of there.
Yep, nope, I completely agree. I'm in the same exact boat. Neymar is one of my favorite plays on the slate. He's one of my favorite parlay pieces, even though his odds are completely
Ridiculous.
outrageous. But Silva, I mean, he's 36 years old. He made his debut last time after a win on the Contender Series, and he just you have to wonder how much he really has left going for him, being his age and not having really an ultra impressive, fight career so far. But Naimov is really impressive, and he looked so good against Wood. We got to see him in his full fight camp, full just everything. So I'm really looking forward to him. Definitely think that he shines in this fight. So both of
If
us
you want
going
to
with
save money, as we both do feel that this fight should finish inside the distance, depending on your sports book, just play name off inside the distance. I know some of them have KO submission. I don't think it's going to be a submission. I think he's probably going to catch him with the hands at some point. But if you want to be safe, play the fear finish prop. If you don't want to pay that minus like 650 money line, which I don't blame, but
yeah.
easy parlay
So
piece.
both of us going with the favorite in Naimov. Next up, we got Victor Altamirano against Felipe dos Santos. And going into this fight, man, I feel bad for Altamirano. I really do. Altamirano really hasn't been bad by any means.
Mm.
He's had some decent fights. His last fight, but the way that I see it is when he gets matched up with an upper echelon fighter, guys that are in the top 15 or nearing the top 15, whatever it is, he seems to kind of struggle a little bit. He's really only beaten guys that are lower level, and he draws a guy who just went toe to toe with a guy that's in the top 10, and he nearly beat Menel Cop. So I love Dos Santos in this fight. I think he just picks him apart, dismantles him, does whatever he wants. This is Dos Santos's fight to lose.
So for some reason earlier, I was thinking, okay, I think this fight could be closer because Alto Moreno, like I said, he's not bad at all. Could he mix in takedowns? You can see Dos Santos maybe get over aggressive times and he can get level changed. That's a realm of possibility. But as you just said, Dos Anjos gave it the cop. And I told you, and you thought I was crazy because I picked Dos Anjos in that fight. And he damn near gave Cop a hell of a damn good fight in short notice. Now, he's in the Viva la Mexico of Alto Moreno. Um, I'm still going Dos Santos. I think he might try to pace himself a little bit, see how he's getting used to the overall altitude of Mexico. I think that's what some fighters are going to do. They're going to pace himself. because see how the cardios really are. But I like Dos Anjos in this fight. He's another piece where I don't know if I want to parlay him because I don't know, because this fight to me could play closer than I'll tell you right now. If this fight stays close, you got to watch out for the judges. That's all I'm gonna say. If
I
it,
don't
if it
think it'll
stays
be
close,
close. I think Felipe could be a -500 favorite. I think he wins this fight 9 out of 10 times.
all I know is he better be winning some 10-8 rounds in. But my pick is Dos Anjos though.
I don't even think we see Altamirano have much control.
No,
Really don't. He might get a takedown, but he's going to get reversed so fast. And even if he doesn't, he might get himself stuck in an arm bar or triangle from the bottom. Well, from top for him. So, but both of us are on the favorite in Felipe Dos Santos. Next up, we got Luis Rodriguez against Denny Bondar. And I'm kind of curious to hear your take on this fight. Who you got?
so before I actually do my pick, this is your 1-800. Please do not touch this fight on the books. Don't do it by any means. Um, these are two lower level guys at flyweight. Rodriguez is making his debut. He did lose to
Jerome Rivera.
Jerome Rivera, which if you don't know, his UFC career didn't last long.
I
He
mean,
came
it
in,
lasted 3 fights. He just got beaten all 3 fights.
I think, all first round too. But some people can go back to say that Rodriguez actually won that fight. It depends on where you watch it. Some say yes, some say no. I still gave it to Rivera. Bondar, before his UFC debut, he was an aggressive wrestler, always in your face, throwing bombs, changing levels. I think this Rodriguez kid ain't UFC caliber. I don't, but I'm not saying too much about Bondar either. But one thing I can say Bondar has fought. No, you can say UFC caliber. Malcolm Gordon, that was a freak injury, so I'm gonna try to take away that one. But Carlos Hernandez, he showed that Hernandez is a decent flyweight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got Bondar. I think there's a chance because look, I think Rodriguez's only chance is he's gonna have to keep it on the feet. Bondar, I think he can close the distance. I think he'll be the stronger guy, and I think he can just muscle him down to the ground personally, and actually probably just control him because Rodriguez is aggressive off his back. I think this is more of a control, maybe get some ground and pound in, take down and repeat. Usually, I'm like, you can play this fight. I think they both suck, but if Bondar does win, I just feel like Bondar's more activity will definitely get him the nod and score potentially. I know people say play the 8,200, 8,000 fight. I kind of almost want to stay away from it, but at the same time, if Bondar comes in like he did before the UFC, he's gonna steamroll this price tag with no problem.
So I am also on Bondar, but I am way higher than you are on him.
Okay, please,
Rodriguez
please.
is
I want you to change my
trash.
mind. I want you to change my
Dude,
mind because I'm like
Okay.
here.
So I did a lot of digging into this fight. And if I end up being wrong because it's in Mexico, whatever, I don't care.
So be it.
I dug a lot into both of these guys. And one of the biggest things, you kind of already mentioned it, was the whole Jerome Rivera thing. He lost to him in the contender series. And you go and look at all of Rodriguez's wins, and well, he doesn't really have many good ones until he gets the let's see, fights 2 and 3 after that loss. He beat
Yep.
a 5-1 fighter and a 5-0 fighter, but then he goes on to those were decisions. One was a split.
Ugh.
Goes on to submit the next guy who was 5-1, but then he comes against an 11-11 guy, and it took him 3 rounds and a doctor stoppage in order to beat him against a
Ew.
guy that's 11-11, 11-11 in the Lux
And
fight.
apparently that no, I actually heard something about that. That guy's also 15-11 now, apparently.
So you go over to Bondar, and you look at who he trains with, you look at who he has fought, and generally guys that fight, over all of those guys, um, they usually fight and train really, really well. And Bondar's nickname is Psycho for a reason. I don't, unless he gets knocked out, I don't see how he loses
That's the
this.
only way because Rodriguez is low volume on the feet, which I do give him the upper edge in striking. But if he had more volume, then I'll probably be on more Rodriguez because Rodriguez could maybe catch him if he has more volume. But
Uh,
Bondar, I think, is just gonna constantly be in his face the whole
I
fight.
I think it's going to be Bondar by finish. So.
Oh, by
And
finish?
so, yeah, and on DraftKings, Bondar is currently the favorite at 8,200, but in any sports book, he's currently the dog. So I'm going to chalk him up as a dog because
Mm-hmm.
that's where his odds is. It's where he opened at. It's where it's
Yep.
been at. They are moving towards Bondar in this favor, but I think they'll kind of sit where they are about -115 -105. But I will consider Bondar as a dog, and we are both going with
Good.
him.
Okay. Because last time I saw Bondar was plus 105, plus 110
Yep.
earlier today.
So it keeps flipping, but he is currently the dog. So moving on, we are going to Claudio Puelles against Ferris Zion, and I hate this fight
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of different reasons. Uh, Puelles, I had been on him up until I even had him in his last fight, and my God, did
Hooker.
he look terrible against Hooker.
Ooh.
Uh, I had him in every fight. Pretty sure, yeah, no, I did take him in all five of his other fights, and uh, all five of his wins. And I took him again against Hooker, and man, he couldn't
Phew.
get a takedown, and he looked absolutely dreadful in the ring.
Agreed.
Dreadful. So it comes down to if he can't get this to the mat, he loses. Um, Now, that said, Zion does have some deficiencies in his takedown defense. He can be taken down, he can slightly be controlled, but he also has, uh, a pretty decent get up game, kind of. But he is the longer fighter. He should be able to keep this from range, but I don't see a high score coming out of this fight. Zion has yet to record a finish in the UFC, so my preferred play is actually Puelles because there's just more value there. But my pick to win is Zion. I don't like it though.
But I do agree with your whole breakdown. If anyone's gonna score tremendously good in this fight, it's gonna be Pele's. Because there's a chance that all he could need is potentially one takedown. If he gets your back, then pretty much he's easily paying that off. He's gonna grab a submission of any sort. One thing I'll say about Zion, he is a good striker, but he's like your most modern day French good strikers. Bounce around, low volume, straight,
Yep.
straight, straight. But I'm telling you, and the crazy thing is, two Playa's losses are both by TKO in round two. I'm not saying Ziam's going to do the third time, do it and get a TKO, but I do expect weird finishes in this whole card because the altitude. This could be where if Ziam does land one clean shot, he could just fall, knock
It's
players down.
possible.
It could be a weird, holy crap, first finish. I'm playing Ziam as a DK. No, I don't think I'm probably playing him in DK, as you said, the preferred plays in the playlist. But I may sprinkle Zion by knockout. A little sprinkle, because who knows? And I'm probably gonna think maybe round two, round three. You can probably get decent odds with that. And even with that kind of finish with his low volume, what is he gonna get? Maybe like mid 80s, if that?
So if you do Zion wins by TKO KO, it's plus one. Any other result is a wash. It's
Yeah.
plus 250 right now, so it's
It's
not
not
terrible.
bad. I know what I'm probably gonna do if I do it, I may do him in round three by KO. You can probably get that in the plus like thousands.
Probably. So it's close. Well, Zion's kind of a fade for me in DK.
Yeah, he's
Puelles,
fade.
I might sprinkle, but we are both with the favorite in Zion. Next up, we got Daniel Lacerda, otherwise known as Daniel De Silva, against Edgar Cherez. Cherez.
Torres, Cherez.
This is a rematch from September when the ref made a horrible stoppage, saying that Lacerda was asleep. He was not asleep. It got ruled a no contest, and now we are back to try it again. Um, I would assume your pick is going to stay the same.
Yes, it's not. You don't give me that. Don't upset your daddy type look. But no, my pick is definitely the same. Um, don't get me wrong. Lacerda is very impressive when he's still in there. Then he goes to yay to all the way down to health bar. You know, I think Chares is definitely one of the guys you got to lock in for GPP. There's a chance he could absolutely mollywop him early, but he's definitely going to get the finish within the first two rounds. But I'm expecting probably him by round one TKO. I think he's actually just going to let the hands go on him this time.
It's definitely possible. I mean, they got a good glimpse of each other. Lacerda did look good in the first minute and a half of the fight before he got himself put into that headlock. But Lacerda's been finished in 4 fights in a row in the UFC. He's an exciting fighter, don't get me wrong, but he is excitingly beat down every
Yep.
fight. And I really don't see it being any different in this fight. I'm not sure why he wanted the rematch, but I got Shiraz all day.
Didn't that fight end up getting overturned to a
It's
draw?
it's a no
Yeah, no
contest.
contest. Okay.
It was no contest immediately. All right, so we are both with the favorite in Shiraz. Next up, we have Jesus Aguilar against Mateus Mendonça. Um, this fight is pretty interesting. I know that there is a lot of back and forth betting on this fight. A lot of people are on Mendonça because he's fighting or training with Shootbox and Oliveira. And then obviously Aguilar, who looked really freaking good in his last fight when he just knocked Shannon Ross out immediately. Um, not that's not really saying much. Shannon Ross is terrible,
Hey, he was
but
my low owned play of
every
that week too.
yeah, everybody had him. Um, but yeah, so I mean, this is gonna be a tough fight to call. I have Aguilar. I actually like Aguilar a lot more than other people do. Um, I've got him by finish. He is one of my favorite plays on the card. I'm pretty sure he is a dog.
Yeah, who Aguilar? Yeah, he's a dog.
Yeah, in both places. So I'm really big on Aguilar tonight. He's actually my favorite dog to play on the slate because I don't think that Mendonça is going to be able to do a whole lot against him. And he got knocked out by Nate Manis, and Aguilar has 5 times the power as Manis. So I got Aguilar all day.
You must be reading my damn notes because
Bitch, I
I
read my article before you. Shut up.
no, I said you must have read my notes. But yeah, legitimately, I was on Aguilar. Everyone on the mama was on Aguilar, but everyone thought me to Aguilar by submission. Aguilar just did his old school wannabe Johnny Hendricks overhand and absolutely knocked him out 1 punch. I, I'm not on Mandoka, and I think we both. I think you actually made me change my pick to Minets during the video, and I was like, why? Why? I think Minets looks sucked out, dried out, and I was wrong. I'm glad I made the switch. Like I said, the one reason I'm on Aguilar, the heights are the same. Yes, Mendoka, he does have like a 6, 7 inch reach, but he doesn't use it well. He's too bouncy. He's gonna try to get too close, and that's gonna be his kryptonite. I think Aguilar, once he gets close, he's gonna grab the body and absolutely take him down with no problem. Menez had no problem taking him down 1 time. Then he pulled guard, and then he got himself ground and pounded. And it wouldn't shock me if Aguilar gets him with a ground and pound. It wouldn't even shock me if he
Nope.
gets the back and just go bop,
I
bop.
actually could see another
Renee
first
get
round just flatline strike
yeah.
done.
And Aguilar, he is one of the main training partners for Brandon Moreno. Viva la Mexico. I'm gonna keep on saying that too. That's kind of catchy. But yeah, I'm on Aguilar and like I said, I swear you've been reading my notes from somehow, I don't know how, but yeah, I had him as my favorite dog.
Nope, you're stealing my notes. You
I
must have
never
only read
read
the
yours.
article.
I never read yours
Oh,
unless
I
we don't
can't
do the
read yours.
video.
Mine are posted. Yours aren't.
But you
So
live in my mind.
both of I do live in your mind. Both of us going with the dog and Jesus Aguilar. Next up, we have Christian Quinones and Rioni Barcelos. Who you going with in this one? I can tell you that I definitely struggled picking somebody in this fight.
So I had a struggle in this fight. Most of Barcelona's losses are actually the decent good guys. You know, but I don't want to compare this to to Poirier and Volk. I'm not trying to necessarily, but the only thing that does scare me, and we said it months ago, when Volk got knocked out the way he did against Islam, before we both changed our pick, we're like, bro, he's up there in age. He's not just getting TKO'd, he got knocked out. And one thing that always worries me is depending on how bad the knockout, if it's a little tap and pattern TKO, okay, that don't really mean too much. But Umar flatlined, absolutely flatlined, and doesn't help where your head bounces back and probably your eyes won't back your head. But I think Quinones is going to do the same thing at some point. I don't know if it's going to be early because Barcelos is pretty well early. It might be where Barcelos could win round one, and I have a hard time trusting someone with the durability he's starting to have, and that does worry me some. And Quinones, he is a good sniper as a striker. He does take time to warm up a little bit at times if he's not being the first to absolutely bull blitz. But yeah, I got Quinones. It was a hard fight at first, but I'm really starting to feel like no matter if you're a favorite or not, when you're getting up to that age and you're in that lower level class, it seems like when once your chin goes, it goes. And I like Barcelos. He's like I said, Quinones is not the better fighter going into this fight. He's not. Barcelos is the easily well-rounded guy. I'm just worried about his overall durability. If he doesn't get finished and he can control this fight, he may be a sneaky ass play. Because I think he'll mix in takedowns. I think he has the better volume, and I think he can have better control time. I I just think at some point Quinones might get him. One fight I would gladly be wrong with,
Are you gonna let me
but
talk over? Or are you just gonna keep
yeah.
rattling?
Hey. Go.
Good, because we are very opposite. I have Barcelos.
I'm not shocked by that.
Uh, Barcelos is the better fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Quinones is younger. Yeah, he also has been finished 4 times, including his last fight against Kim Ho Kong, which I called
You
that
did
submission.
call.
Um, but like you mentioned before already, Barcelos has he only loses the better competition. I don't think that Quinones is better, so I don't see him losing this fight. Um, he did look relatively good against Skylar Phillips, which gives me a lot of hope because I was worried about him in that fight given his age, and he did not really look much worse for wear. He looked much better than he had probably in the past couple of fights. So I actually really like him in this fight. I think, like you had already said, that he has a sneaky ass play because he could
Mm-hmm.
chain takedowns, keep control, or he could get an early submission. We've already seen that Nunez has struggles on the mat. So I actually really like Barcelos once I got to him. So I'm pretty confident in him
I
now.
know most of the public are gonna probably gonna use Quinones as a dog because they're gonna think about, oh yeah, all Barcelos does is get finished. I will have probably some hand lines written with Barcelos. I'm gonna see what I can fit with them in. But this is a fight I'm not fully confident in. As I said, Barcelos is the better fighter, but
Barcelos is
durability does catch
technically
up.
one of the favorite too. So yeah, he's only been finished twice, Barcelos. So I'm not really too worried about it. Umar is crushing everybody. It's nothing to sneeze
Wait
at.
till you see Umar's price for his opponent next week.
So we are split finally for the first pick. It only took 7 fights. I've got Barcelos. You've got Quinones. Next up, we have Manuel Torres against Chris Duncan. And man, I had probably a harder time picking this. This was probably the fight that I had the most issues with because I love Torres and I also really enjoy watching Duncan fight. Torres has really, really been impressive. He's got 3 fights, one in the Contender Series, 2 in the UFC, and all 3 of them were by a brutal and nasty ass knockout in the first round. And
Mm-hmm.
I just Duncan is great. Don't get me wrong; he's a really good young fighter. His biggest problem is he is so hittable, and you cannot have that against a guy like Torres. So I've got Torres by another first round knockout.
You know what? I'm not even gonna say my pick right here. I'm just gonna show you. If anyone that doesn't know, that means Torres. So Viva la Mexico, because Torres is a bad boy, man. That's a
Yeah, he is.
bad boy.
I will say that Duncan will have his chance if he can get it
Yep.
to the mat. It's just a matter of if he's going to have enough time.
So one thing I did say about bringing into this, as you said, I did agree. This was one of my harder fights at first earlier the week. Torres does have all these first round finishes. He's getting to people. My one worry is, and I know Torres is gonna get the high majority of ownership in this fight because everyone's gonna think that Torres is gonna get another first round finish, which is very live, of course. If it gets out of round one, Duncan does have the better wrestling advantage. Maybe he can tire him out, get him that way. He might be honestly, he could be a decent lower owned. I don't know how much low owned he's gonna be because this fight has predicted for violence, but you're gonna get leverage out the ass if you say, you know what, I think Duncan could survive. Swap Torres for Duncan, you can get leverage out the ass in this fight. But like I said, I'm going Torres. Like I've seen Duncan get rocked. He damn near and a lot of refs probably would have stopped the fight in Contender Series. Similar how some of the refs are nowadays, how soft they are, but
All right. Well, both of us going with the favorite in Torres. Next up, we have Yasmin against Sam Hughes. I have no idea how to pronounce her last name. I'm
Ju-
not going to try.
Jaguri, I don't know.
Yaorgui. No idea. Anyways, who you got in this one? Well, tell me why you're taking Yasmin.
I'm thinking Yasmin because one, she's in her backyard, and honestly, I know I went Jeff Neal, and I firmly believe, I don't know, I didn't see no, 30-27 fight, but I don't know what the hell that judging was, but I do, I think the UFC was trying to see if Gary did win, they were going to try to set him up for a next point. I see the UFC kind of doing this for Jasmine since they bring it to Mexico, they put her on the main card. They're going to try to get her back into the overall win column again. And I honestly feel if don't get me wrong, I know Hughes is your girl. You picked her for some dog plays. The Elise Reed fight was the easiest money I made in my damn life in that fight. And I was happy as hell. That had me a nice steak dinner that night. Because my boy Drake, not because of me, because I think I even went Elise Reed, and he's like, "You're a damn fool for that." And I got a backhand from Wisconsin, and it was not fun. But pretty much, I think Jasmine's is gonna let the hands go on her. If Hughes can't get the fight to the ground, knowing she is very durable, she's gonna be a legit punching dummy in this fight. And as I said for the Ziam fight, and I may actually put this in a parlay, and the odds are gonna be absolute bonkers because Sam Hughes is very durable. I almost decided to do Ziam round 3 KO with Jasmine round 3 KO. Because would it shock me if both are tired and Yasmin does have good combinations? Could she get a late finish? That's in the realm of possibility. And she's actually in a realm of possibility where if she can't get taken down and she just goes volume, 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 she's a pay up where I don't think a lot of people are going to get to, especially for tournaments. Somebody might have her in a cash play. Yeah, it's 9,500. She should beat Sam Hughes. She might be sneaky for tournaments. I swear she might be sneaky for tournaments. I think she's going to be pure volume out the ass. But me saying that, she's probably gonna hug Sam Hughes against the cage, and I'm gonna look stupid as shit.
No, I completely disagree with that. I think
Which one? The
she
last
just,
part?
I think she beats Sam Hughes into a fucking pulp. We've seen Sam Hughes get her face beat in, and it's gonna look. She is not gonna look like the same fighter in this fight unless they call it.
I'm telling you, I'm really feeling there could be like a round three TKO in this fight.
I don't even think it makes it that far.
Really?
I think
Well, I'm telling
Yasmin
you, I'm
just,
gonna sprinkle her round by KO.
I think Yasmin just butchers the shit out of her.
I'm telling you, I'm playing some KO props in this fight.
Both of
But
us going with the favorite in Yasmin. Next up, we have Raul Rosas Jr. against Ricky Tercios. And I really, really like this fight for
mhm.
a lot of different reasons. I'm a big fan of Ricky Tercios. I don't think that he wins this fight, mainly because against Kevin Natividad, he got taken down 7 times, and that's pretty bad because Natividad sucks. He won that fight. It was a split decision. It was really close. A lot of it was because Tercios was able to reverse it 3 times and get more control than Natividad did. Um, which is impressive. Don't get me wrong. He's going to need that in this fight, but you can't get taken down 7 times by Rosas and win a decision in Mexico. It's just not going to
Yeah.
happen. So the only way he wins this fight is by finishing him, which he's only got 4 finishes in 12 fights, so it's not going
Yep.
to happen. So I've got Rosas by 150-point decision.
I'll tell you right now, I wanted to pick Ricky so bad in this fight. I
I had
really
him
did.
until I did the takedown
Yep.
numbers.
And I was walking. I'm like, for the most part, Tercios does get up from the takedowns. He's a slippery little guy on the bottom.
Yep.
But I think at one point that's going to screw him. And if Rosas has your back, he's going to snap something quick. Um, but I am curious. Hopefully his cardio is a lot better because if his cardio shows like he did against Rodriguez, especially in this high altitude, Ricky Tercio is gonna let the hands fly on him if Rosas is tired.
Oh, 100%.
And I'll tell you this right now. Me and him are both on Rosas Jr. But if you're telling me that you're like doing like these a lot of lines, if you're telling me you're gonna throw in Tercios, I'm not gonna disagree with you really. Because if he survives early and we see Rojas tired, Tercios is gonna let the hands fly on him. He may not get a he's not gonna get a finish. but he's just gonna let the hands fly. And at his tag, of course, he'll definitely pay it off. But yeah, the more and more I saw the takedown numbers, I'm like, shit, I gotta go Rosas. And now he's in his backyard. I think UFC's really trying to now properly. Now they see where they gotta slowly build him after the Rodriguez fight because a lot of people didn't give Rodriguez respect, which I did. But yeah, I think they're gonna build him right. He's only 19, and I'll give him credit. I did I pick Terrence Mitchell or did I want to pick Terrence Mitchell? I forget that fight.
You did pick Terrence Mitchell.
So I thought maybe Terrence Mitchell could catch him early, and Rojas probably said some mean things to me in Spanish, which I can probably understand a few words, but not all of them. But I think I think he does have the potential for the highest scoring in the slate this week, especially if he goes take down, repeat. I'll tell you right now, he may not. He doesn't even need the full control. I think there's a chance that Tercio's in round. I'm gonna predict this. If I get it right, I'm gonna get some credit. I think in round one, Rosas is at least gonna go over 3 takedowns. Three. Because early, Tercios does get up. And he swarms his back to the cage and gets up. And guess what? Takedown, repeat. Takedown, repeat. At least 3 takedowns in
Well,
round one.
like I have Rosas by 150-point decision. It probably won't be that high, but it'll be up there. So both of us going with the favorite and Raul Rosas Jr., the 19-year-old phenom.
Yep.
Next up, we have Daniel Zellhuber against Francisco Prado. And who are you going with this one?
So at first, when I saw this, I was like, I'm low key shocked the UFC actually put this fight together. Two younger prospects. I think they could ideally build up some and then they could meet later on. I'm kind of shocked by it a little bit. So two things could happen. Either this fight could have contention for fight of the night, or this fight could suck. Um, I'll tell you right now, as a price tag, I'm not paying no Saul Huber no 8,900. No, that's not happening. Um, he legitimately got outstruck by Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden, not a good look. Um, of course, he rebounded after that fight and got a win. Prado, he took Malarkey on short notice, and I think I picked Prado for that fight too. And then he fought Azatar, which I love. I told you that was my most confident pick. I threw hard money on Prado by knockout, and he made the fight look easy. And he absolutely destroyed Azatar with no problem. Um, I think Zellhuber, if he's gonna actually win this fight, he's gonna have to use his range, circle around, and get Prado tired. I'm going Zellhuber, but I'm not barely confident in the pick. Since he's in his backyard, I think he's gonna have, the crowd with him. I think he has the more adjustment of knowing how to get his cardio going through all the rounds. And I think without a finish, this fight is easily a fade for me. I mean, I got a fade list for this fight. If you're on the side that you think Prado's gonna absolutely check him, by all means, it could happen. He does, Zellhuber does get hit early. We've seen it in Ogden. Ogden touched him with no problem. Veneta, Veneta had no problem getting to him. If you're on Prado, hey man, he's not a bad dog this week because he could chin check him if Zellhuber's not perfect. But I think Zellhuber's going to use his range, get the kicks going, and this fight's probably going to be a lower scoring decision.
I have pretty much the same type of assessment. Well, slightly different. I do have Zellhuber winning. I do have it more of a fade. And the biggest issue is Prado has an issue crashing the pocket when somebody's got a massive reach advantage, which Zellhuber does. He's got, I think, 8 inches on him, which is going to be easy for him to keep Prado at range. And every time he does come in, he's going to eat something. So it's going to be tough. I mean, it's a decent fight to target for GPP because Prado, I mean, it only takes one hit for him to knock somebody out. It could very well happen. It could be him blowing the whole slate up. And Zellhuber, I mean, himself, he does have 10 finishes. He's still young. He's only 24. Both of these guys are young. They're both only one loss fighters.
That's why I'm shocked they made this fight.
But Zellhuber has never been finished. Well, obviously, he's only got one loss. He hasn't really been, hit too hard. He hasn't. I think he learned a lot that Ogden fight, and I don't think he's going to let that happen again. So I do have Zellhuber winning. I don't see him scoring very high without a finish, so it's kind of in
Dog pass.
that fade territory. Um, but yeah, both of us going with the favorite. Next up, we've got Yair Rodriguez and Brian Ortega, and this sucks because I love T City, but I can't go with T City because his last time it's fighting was against Yair Rodriguez in July of 2022. Ortega seems to be fully healthy at this point, but he's going against the number one contender who just relinquished his belt. Um, man, I think we're going to see the same exact thing. It's going to be either pound town on the ground. Ortega just gets lit up on the feet. I think no matter what happens, it's going to result in an Ortega knockout, getting knocked out. Um, but Ortega is slick on the mat, so you have to that he's always live, but he hasn't hit his not fighting for so long and coming against a guy that already knocked him out and who's fresh. I got to go with Rodriguez.
So going back to that fight, I know that fight primarily ended with Ortega and getting injured
Yep.
from the takedown. And I don't know if it was from the takedown he got hurt or Rodriguez got an arm with it. I'm not sure. I didn't really see it. I just know that he got injured from going towards the takedown. If you want to take anything on that fight, you can say that Ortega had no issue taking him down right away. Closed in, boom, takedown. Um, I wish, or me and you talked about this earlier. We kind of do wish Ortega kind of got like a tune-up fight to an extent. Win, lose, or draw, give him a tune-up fight. Um, and like I said, I'm an Ortega guy too, and this would be one fight I would have no issue getting wrong. But
I'll be happy if I get it
yeah,
wrong.
I'll be happy getting it wrong. But this is the GBP fight. You got to play a side. And yeah, I got to go Rodriguez. I'm not, you can tell by my voice, I'm not happy going with it. And
If Ortega had fought once before this, I'd probably still be on the Ortega train. But it's too long coming off an injury, going against the number one contender. It's
honestly, if a fight that I would have gave maybe Ortega more confidence, if you did like maybe Ortega versus like Emmett as a tune-up fight,
oh, it's taking Ortega all day.
yeah, I'm taking Ortega all day. Give him warmed up. Still fighting the guy in the top like 5 or 6. So he's not getting like the biggest tune-up, but he's still getting okay. Go see if you can win this fight. Then you get a contender, number one contender fight, and go from there. But if you're on the side and you think Ortega can take him down without getting hurt, Ortega has the potential upside as a dog to be the potential highest scoring dog if he can get the takedown.
Yep.
But I think you're gonna see morale change a lot. If he can't get the first, I'll take 2 to 3 takedowns, and Rodriguez absolutely just shoves him off, no issue. Ortega's gonna be in a world of shit.
Yep.
And like I said, I want to be wrong about it, but I think within the first 3 rounds, I think Rodriguez is gonna TKO him. I know the last time was an injury. I think he's actually gonna let the hands go bad. Everyone's like, oh, but Ortega's never been TKO. Has he? No, he's never been at TKO besides an injury, but real TKO. Oh, Max didn't put him away. Max is not really a power puncher. Max will just go bow, bow, bow. Yeah, you're not just worrying about punches. You got to worry about kicks, elbows, knees. All you need is one of those little things that land clean. You're done. And I hate to say, I think Rodriguez is probably one of my favorite plays. And last time I saw, he's still like under minus 200, which I'll say
Yeah,
this
he's
right
like minus
now.
150 right now.
I don't want to, I hate saying, and I don't want to use that word, but I think he's one of the smoothest values on the card, on this betting card this week. I wouldn't even have problems probably parlaying him in some parlays, but I think he's just going to go through Ortega.
Yeah. So both of us going with the favorite in Rodriguez. Next up, we have the main event: Brandon Moreno against Brandon Royval. This is another rematch, and I don't see this rematch going any differently. But what do you think?
So pretty much this rematch only happened because Albazi fell off the card. And I actually think Albazi Moreno would have been a hell of a fight. And honestly, I may have gone Albazi in that fight. Honestly, that's just me. I know you're like, no, no. Because Who about he fight last time? Was Car France, and everyone thought that Car France won, right? Okay. Um, Royval, he just lost to who the hell he just lose to? Was it Volk?
Royval
No, no, that's the wrong
or
division. He lost
Moreno.
to but
They're
yeah,
both of their losses are to Pantoja.
Pantoja. Yeah, I was thinking about the wrong division. Jesus, but yeah, he lost to Pantoja, and honestly, I think Pantoja is keeping that belt for a while. Just that's my honest opinion. Um, I think Moreno's is gonna run right through him. It may not be it could be a finish at some point, maybe. We'll see how Royval's cardio is, especially taking on shorter notice. I just think Moreno's gonna do whatever he wants to him. I think Royval's gonna have some moments, of course, since he's always dangerous. But depending what you get the over under on rounds, if it's over under 3.5, I may consider playing the under. But I think Royval is potentially another guy that's gonna score the highest, especially the longer the fight extends. I think he's gonna get his volume going on his jab, takedowns, control. He's another
Moreno or Royval?
Moreno. I think Moreno is going to absolutely steamroll him though.
Yep, I've got it the same way. I don't think Royval stands much of a chance. He does have a
No.
really slick guillotine and he's got some good power, but aside from that, he gets picked apart and it's not going to be pretty for him. Um, I, I I love Moreno in this fight, so
Yep.
so that wraps this card up. Um, my locked dog we have already discussed is Aguilar.
Well, I think realistically, I don't know how many dogs I even got on this card. I think I picked like two dogs. I
Yeah,
picked
three.
Aguilar. I think Quinones. Oh, Bond. If we're counting Bondar too, then yeah, Bondar. Um, like I said, I think Aguilar has some of the biggest
Yeah, I would just
upside.
lock him in. It's fine if
Yeah,
it's the same.
it's the same. But one thing I will say, and this is more of a if you are more high on the depends on what you're playing, FanDuel, DraftKings. But if you're more set on your lineup on the higher pay ups, and you're telling me you need to get down to him as a potential play, it I know we both didn't pick him, but if you're telling me like pure value, Altamirano might be a decent value if you're telling me you need to get down low. Because everyone else below him, I think, gets blown out. So if you need to get to Altamirano at 7K, I don't know what he's on FanDuel for because I don't do FanDuel, but he may get his upside is potentially couple takedowns, control, and probably win a decision because I don't see him finishing Dos Santos. So you're thinking 7K probably get you a little over 70 points. That's what I think his upside is in this fight if he wins. So that's probably the one of my dart throws I would say. Or if you think Rosas Jr.'s cardio sucks, I want to go Tercio so freaking bad, but I think Rosas is gonna absolutely just ragdoll him and
Mhm.
repeat.
So looking into next week, it's a card that I'm not a fan of at
No.
all. It's Rosenstruck against Gazi or Guy,
Guys,
however you want.
he had one
But
fight and now he has a main event.
the card isn't overly exciting. You get to watch Umar Nurmagomedov beat up on another guy. We get to watch Petrino beat up on another guy. We get to watch Mokaev beat up on another guy. So I mean, I mean overall, I mean the fight card is good. I just don't like the main event.
And
I think the main event is dumb as fuck.
I
Um,
hope
it
I'll
does
say it
have
right now.
it does have one of the young up and coming fighters that I'm a big fan of, and
Who?
Steve Rocket Boy Urseg. So I'm
Oh, the
really
guy, the cable man.
really looking forward to seeing him fight again. But I mean, overall, the card is pretty good, but that main event is just
Uh,
dumb.
where's is that? That's in the Apex, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know Ghazi. Don't get me wrong, Ghazi. I know he fought. Who was it? Boudet and absolutely mollywopped him. I would love to see Rosenstrike just put him in his place.
Well, good to see you next week.
Yep.
But until then,
Before we go, I'm gonna say this: Who's everyone's favorite fighter? I want to see it in the comments below.
all right. Well,
I'll get
as
down on
always,
Stormy.
we appreciate you watching, and we will catch you next week.